Look at that idiot Justice Secretary stood there talking to the camera like a bowling ball with a mouth, making excuses for something there can be really no excuse for.
Jim Davidson speaks out about David Lammy. This shocked everyone. You're not going to believe what happened. Jim Davidson was doing one of his usual Ustream videos, and this time his target wasn't the BBC or even the woke brigade. It was the government. Labour's own David Lammy. Now, if you followed Jim for a while, you know how he works. He talks the way people do down at the pub, rough around the edges, brutally honest, and never checking with a producer before hitting go live. That's exactly what made this stream feel different and explosive. He started soft, talking about the state of Britain, how things used to feel simpler, how comedy and conversation could actually bring people together. Then he paused, leaned forward, and said, almost quietly, "You know who really winds me up these days? David Lammy." The chat went wild. Thousands of comments scrolled up the screen in seconds. Jim continued, "Every time Lammy opens his mouth, it's like he's trying to divide people instead of unite them. We're supposed to be one country, not constant camps of blame." He shook his head. "I watch Parliament, I watch these interviews, and I think, does he even hear himself? It's always someone else's fault. Always another excuse for why Britain's broken. Well, maybe, just maybe, it's because the people in charge spend more time talking about the past than fixing the present." That line hit hard. Within minutes, the clip started spreading across social media. Viewers were cutting it into short reels, adding captions like, "Jim Davidson says what we're all thinking." The comments were split right down the middle. One user wrote, "Finally someone brave enough to call out the hypocrisy." Another replied, "This is exactly why comedians shouldn't play politics." And yet, the numbers kept climbing. By morning, the stream had passed 1 million views. Jim went deeper. He didn't shout. He didn't name-call. He just talked. "Look, people out here are struggling. Bills, safety, community all falling apart. And instead of hearing that, we get lectures about who to blame." He laughed, almost sadly. "Mate, I've been around long enough to know if you spend all your time pointing fingers, you're never holding a solution." That kind of line, it's classic Davidson. It's why his audience keeps showing up, week after week. But it wasn't all anger. There was a moment, midway through, when Jim stopped himself. He stared off camera and said softly, "I think deep down, Lammy sees this country differently. And that's the problem, we've all stopped listening." That clip struck a chord. Even some of Lammy's own supporters shared it, calling it the most reasonable thing Jim Davidson said in years. A well-known columnist wrote on X, "This wasn't comedy. This was a man trying to make sense of a nation tearing itself apart." But of course, not everyone saw it that way. Critics accused Jim of being out of touch, saying he was romanticizing the past and misunderstanding the issues Lammy talks about: inequality, racism, opportunity. One media commentator even said, "Jim wants to sound like the voice of the people, but the country he misses isn't coming back." Still, Davidson's fans defended him fiercely. Many said he was just saying what ordinary Brits are feeling: the exhaustion, the confusion, the sense that no one in Westminster really gets it anymore. One comment summed it up: "He's not perfect, but at least he's honest. That's more than I can say for most MPs." By the next day, mainstream outlets were covering the stream. Headlines read, "Jim Davidson's YouTube rant splits viewers." Talk radio hosts replayed clips and debated whether the comedian had gone too far or hit a national nerve. Even some politicians quietly weighed in. One backbench conservative reportedly told a journalist, "Jim might not use the right words, but he's echoing what millions of voters feel." Meanwhile, Labour insiders dismissed the uproar as a distraction. Lammy himself didn't respond publicly, though his office simply said he welcomes all voices in Britain's political conversation. Still, the silence spoke volumes. Later that night, Jim posted a short follow-up video, no title, no description, just him looking straight into the camera. "Listen," he said, "I'm not out here to pick fights. I'm out here because I love this country. And if that offends anyone, tough. Because someone has to talk about what's really going on, not just what's fashionable to say." He smiled, half tired, half proud. Now, I know people will twist this, they'll call me names. But you know what? I can live with that. What I can't live with is watching Britain forget who she is. The clip ended. No outro. No jokes. Just silence. And that silence somehow said more than the whole 20-minute rant. So here's the thing. Jim Davidson isn't a politician. He's not polished, he's not careful, and he doesn't follow the rules of polite debate. But when he speaks, people listen not because they agree, but because he sounds real. Love him or hate him, his latest video proves one thing: Britain's cultural debate isn't cooling down anytime soon. And the question everyone's asking now is simple. If Jim Davidson is starting more honest conversations than Westminster itself, what does that say about where the real voice of the people lives today? And the question now is who's really speaking for Britain? Because the answer to that could define the next election. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned and stay informed.